Wake up! I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today on Coffee Review 29, we are looking at Blue Mountain Coffee from Jamaica and Haiti. So these are single origin coffees of a certain type. The Jamaican one is very famous and expensive and often counterfeited because of that. And we're also looking at a Haitian one that's grown under very similar conditions. So while I'm pouring the first one, which is from Fresh Roasted Coffee, LLC, Haitian Blue Mountain Coffee, we'll show you on a map why they're so similar, or could be very similar. So now that those can cool off some, I'll move this giant bag, 2 pounds, about 30 bucks. So decent value. I'll have to share it with friends because I'm not going to be able to drink all that in a reasonable time frame. And it's already roasted. Here we have this book, by the way, is Coffee Obsession by Annette Meldver, and has lots of interesting things about coffee. I'll put a link down below to the Amazon page for this. But mostly I use the maps to find out where these things come from. So here's the Jamaica page. It talks about some of the most well-marketed and expensive coffees in the world. And almost all the highlands of the island are a growing region. So the whole central zone is a good growing region for coffee. And right over here, page 2 over, is their map for Haiti. So this is an island, half of an island, slightly to the east. And there are several coffee growing regions in green here. And they also grow the Blue Mountain type of Arabica coffee beans. And the coffees from Haiti are often naturally processed. So there's a little bit of that fermentation next to the coffee bean, a little bit of that funkier, fruitier flavor can come over, while the Jamaican ones are usually fully washed. So I'm going to let this bag fall all the way now. Come on, you can do it. And I'll put the book aside, but get a different map. Show the relationship between the two islands. So here we have Cuba coming down, and the northern part of Cuba is 90 miles away from the U.S., from Florida. So Jamaica's over here, and Haiti's over here. It's the eastern part of the island of Hispaniola. So the Dominican Republic takes up the eastern part, and the western part of the island is Haiti. So these are very close geographically, and they have about the same latitude, they have the same hours of sunshine every day, have about the same climates. Things that are happening here are also happening over here, climate-wise or macro weather-wise. So it's just a matter of microclimates or growing environments that the coffees are grown in. So that's why I'm expecting them to be fairly similar. And the Haitian Blue Mountain is often offered as a less expensive alternative to the expensive Jamaican version. So I'm going to hold up the bag with my carafe. I shouldn't need it much more. If you've been enjoying the coffee videos here, please give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment or a question. Let us know that you're here, and subscribe to the channel and click that bell to get notified when the new videos come out, usually on Mondays. And I am hoping these are a little bit cooler, because I can't wait to get into these. This is only a medium roast coffee. Beans were kind of light at medium brown, not very dark, but they smelled great when I ground them. And I'm getting a fairly rich nose, good aroma, hints of fruitiness or nuttiness. Can't tell if it would be sweet or not from what I'm smelling. Touch of earthiness. And my nose is the worst part. I should be tasting. Oh yeah, fruitiness is the first thing that jumps out. Maybe plum, maybe blackberry. Blackberry without sweetness. It's not especially tart either. It's neither sweet nor tart, but blackberry. There's something reminding me of nuttiness, but I can't. I'd say pecan more than any other kind of nut I can think of. There's a very small, compact base of earthiness. It's very clean. It's not diffuse and muddy and all over the place. It's just sitting on a very small base of earthiness, or maybe cocoa. Most of the notes are in mid-palate, mid-level, not a lot of flowery light stuff. The fruitiness is in the mid-palate, and the base notes are really small and compact. So I'd say the fruit predominates. But wow, this Haitian Blue Mountain is pretty good. And I don't know anything about this company. Got high ratings on Amazon from users. Let's say a lack of organization led me to not roast my own coffees of these versions. I was able to get them in time for the review. Already roasted from good roasters. So this is often presented as an alternative to the more expensive Jamaican Blue Mountain. And this, what I'm tasting here, is very high quality. Very solid and pretty similar. I've tasted the Jamaican Blue Mountain once from this, what you're about to see next. And this is the first time I'm tasting this morning. Very solid. There's maybe a hint of the fermented fruit funkiness that you get from naturally processed coffee, but it's not strong at all. Maybe most people wouldn't even notice it. I was looking for it, so maybe I found it when it's not there. Again, tiny bit of green, leafy, herbal, sticks and twigs type character on the very upper notes of the coffee. It's not strong, it's not bitter, it's not strong enough for a lot of people to notice, maybe. It's just a note. And then there's probably other fruit notes you could pick out. I'm getting plum. I'm getting blackberry. There's probably other things. But what to call them, I don't know. So it's a nice gamish of fruitiness. And the two I named are the main things. Other palates would pick out more things and name more things. So I'm thinking this is great. I'm going to give out half pound. This was £2 bag for $30 if I haven't said already. So very reasonably priced for roasted coffee. And I'll give away a bunch of it and drink a half pound or so myself. So this is pretty good. I'm enjoying this. And hard to predict what it's going to be like with some half and half poured in, but I'll be doing that next because I'm about out. So this is very solid, good recommend. I think they roasted it pretty recently and put an expiration date 1 year out in the future. So the expiration date might work. It says 10/15/2021. Might be valid if you don't open it. There's a one-way valve in here for the CO2 to get out as it calms down from the roasting process, from the stress of being roasted. But all that's gone in a month or two, pretty much, and you're just fighting oxygen getting in. But once you open it, and it's got one of these little a zip lock type thing. You keep it closed, but once the air starts getting in, it starts oxidizing the beans and oils and flavors. So don't let them go too long. I say a month or 6 weeks. And it's going to fall over when I try to pour more. Okay, cream time. Oh yeah, it smells buttery and creamy. A light caramel, butterscotch kind of note, and very light chocolate milk, very light cocoa notes. So a fairly typical coffee experience with half and half. I think it went in the direction lots of the Central American ones go. And I think the characteristics of this Haitian Blue Mountain are very similar to Central America. It was very good, very high quality. This doesn't probably justify all the fuss over Jamaican Blue Mountain, which it seems very similar to. I'll taste the Jamaican right after this, and we'll find out. I don't think the Jamaican Blue Mountain justifies all the fuss and hype over it. But this is good with cream. This is a very solid purchase. So cheers, and Jamaica's next. Okay, so I'm back with the Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee today, and I'm going to pour it so it can cool. And this particular roaster sure wants to emphasize blue, don't they? So Jamaican Blue Mountain is very famous. It's very expensive, and it's often counterfeited. So this bag came from Amazon. I don't really see. Craft Coffee Roasters, I think. Landor Trading Company. Seem to be the two commercial names on here. It says Jamaican Blue Mountain Coffee Beans. Medium roast. Certified 100% grade 1 coffee. Jamaican Blue Mountain. I think it was recently roasted, and they put an expiration date a year out in the future. And they aren't a mass marketer and don't have any of their own codes or UPC codes or anything, but they do have the little sticker for Amazon's use. So I found this to be pretty good. So it's for high price coffees like this, or high demand coffees, high opinion coffees, high hype coffees like this. It's good to really know your roaster, know what their standards are, or importer, or whoever's bringing it into the country you're in to sell it to you. So I'm pretty confident in the my particular sources of Smoking Beans and Sweet Maria's and Berman Coffee Traders. In these two last purchases I made of roasted beans, I don't really know the companies. I know Amazon. And if there were a lot of complaints, Amazon probably wouldn't have them for very long. So I'm just hoping these aren't counterfeit. But I'm tasting very similar things here. They match up, they line up. So this was $30, $35, $34.95 for a 1 pound bag of fairly freshly roasted, medium roast Jamaican Blue Mountain. And that's going to be too hot to taste and smell, so let me prattle on more. So you can't find out much about the individual farm or source where this comes from, or the processing, or the altitude it's grown at, or any of those things. Jamaica and Haiti have some very high elevation locations available for coffee growing. So 2,000 meters, 2,200 meters is very high up, and would tend to produce pretty good coffee where people would have a very high opinion of it. And I think that might be what we have here today in both of these, very high altitude grown coffees that turn out very similar. So people that aren't into single origin coffees may have heard of Jamaica and Blue Mountain. So it does have a reputation, and the high prices are an inducement to counterfeit or send something else in its place. The nose is rich, not especially dark, but rich and full-bodied, full-flavored, you would guess, from that nose. It doesn't have the darkest, earthiest notes. but you're expecting a lot of flavor from that nose. And when it hits my palate, I get fruit, first of all. That vague plumminess, vaguer berry note. Could be blackberry, black raspberry, darker things. Without a lot of sweetness. There is a kind of a sweetness, but I'm not sure if it's a caramely thing or a sweet fruit thing. It's very vague. And the coffee is not especially hot. This is solid, well constructed. A little tad more structure to it. Cutoffs, distinct structures. It's sitting on an earthy base, but it's very clean earthiness, even smaller. It's less earthiness and less cocoa than the Haitian Blue Mountain had. Otherwise, I'd say it's very similar. The fruitiness is just a little bit different. The cocoa, or earthiness, more earthiness, I'd say, at the base. It's just a little bit different than the Haitian Blue Mountain. I was picking up a little something on the fruity part of the Haitian, suggesting it was a natural process and fermented. When the fruit was fermented, softened, decomposed next to the bean before it's cleaned off. I think most of the Jamaican coffees are fully washed and don't go through that fermentation process, but I'm getting about the same fruity notes. I can't say it's different than the Haitian Blue Mountain. The step in the funky direction I thought was in the Haitian, I think I'm getting it here too. So that is not a difference. So these are both very solid, very high quality. Just based on what I'm tasting today, I don't have a reason to prefer the Jamaican Blue Mountain over the Haitian Blue Mountain. And the Haitian Blue Mountain is half the price. Let's keep going. So tastes vary. Taste is subjective. I have my preferences, and this kind of coffee is closer to Central American. That's probably my preference over the Indonesian types, although I have a better appreciation of the Indonesians after going all around the world on this tasting spree. So I understand things a little better now. It's been very educational. This is really my wheelhouse, and I am not finding a big reason to prefer the Jamaican over the Haitian Blue Mountain, or prefer them to lots of other Central American coffees. So I'd say they're all very similar. I'm sure you can find ones with differences, but you can find some that are very close to each other. That's for sure. So this fruitiness is in the foreground. There's kind of a sweetness, maybe a nuttiness, maybe that pecan-like note is in there. But it's vague and distant. And then the earthiness or cocoa notes at the bottom are secondary. They are not prominent. So fruitiness to the forefront for both of these coffees today. So I've really enjoyed and learned a lot from tasting all these single origin coffees from around the world. But this is the last episode where we're reviewing coffee, usually that I bought green and roasted myself. These last two today, I didn't roast myself. And yeah, these roasters do a good job. And probably better than me. They hit their targets better because they have a lot more resources and fancy equipment and computer control. And experience and knowledge. But I've had a great time roasting and tasting all these coffees. So this is very solid. Somehow I got the impression that the Jamaican was roasted a bit darker than the Haitian Blue Mountain, and when I look today, not true, they're about the same. Can't tell a difference. So things that you think you remember about appearance, looks, flavors, smells. It's pretty easy to be wrong. So it's probably good to do some blind tastings and check yourself and actually do A to B comparisons. If you think you like one over another, you might be surprised. So lots of people worry about spending a lot of money on Jamaican Blue Mountain because they think it's the best or their favorite or something. They could probably find something that compares very favorably for half the price or less. Okay, I think it's cream time. It's pretty hot, but it is a chocolate milk taste, a buttery, butterscotch or caramely chocolate milk taste. I can't tell that it's any different than the Haitian Blue Mountain, which was good with cream. This is good. Top-notch desserty experience. A good creaminess. So the last few videos are going to be going out into the world, into New Orleans coffee houses, ending with the famous Café du Monde in the French Quarter. Another episode would be coffee and spirits and how they get along, adding spirits to coffee or making spirits out of coffee. Then the last one would be coffee and cuisine, how coffee gets into foods, which tend to be desserty or creamy drinks or milk drinks. So that will be the last 3 episodes. So watch out for those, and cheers.